Galactic Council bans Earth's pets. Too dangerous. The Galactic Council chamber was an ocean of alien bodies, scaled, furred, tentacled, chitin-plated, all of them turned toward the single human standing at the defense podium. Ambassador Elias Carter adjusted his tie, his face an unreadable mask, but his pulse thundered in his ears. He knew what was coming. From the central dais, the council speaker, a towering reptilian Zelthari, let out a guttural hiss. Ambassador Carter, the charges are as follows. Humanity has introduced hyperlethal predatory organisms into the wider galactic ecosystem. These pets, as you call them, represent a catastrophic biological threat to civilized worlds. Effective immediately, all Terran companion species are to be banned under galactic law, and any violations will be met with force. A murmur of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elias allowed the silence to stretch, letting the weight of the declaration settle. Then he gave a slow, deliberate nod. So, he said, voice calm but edged with steel. You're afraid of our pets? A hologram flickered to life beside him, displaying an Earth house cat caught mid-pounce, its pupils wide, claws extended. The alien delegates recoiled. Another image replaced it, this time of a golden retriever wagging its tail. The death-fanged apex predators you're so terrified of, Elias said, voice dripping with sarcasm. Your fear of domesticated Earth creatures is justified, a shrill voice cut in. The delegate from the Shari Collective, an avian-like being with 4 jittery eyes, flared its feathered crest in alarm. Your house pets are genetically engineered killers. They stalk, they ambush, they play with their food. Our records show that your species intentionally bred wolves into hyper-intelligent hunting partners. And what of your felines? They kill for sport, even when well-fed. This behavior is horrifying. Another delegate, a thick-shelled Grovan, slammed a claw against the table. Let's not forget the incident on Gorvaresh. A single Terran rabbit devastated an entire agricultural sector within days. Elias blinked. Wait, what? The Grovan delegate's nostrils flared. You don't even know? A human colonist thought it would be cute to bring a pair of harmless Earth creatures to our world. They multiplied exponentially. Our crops were gone in a single cycle. They have no natural predators in our ecosystem. Your pets are an invasive nightmare. Elias barely contained his grin. Rabbits. The galaxy was afraid of rabbits. The speaker's eyes darkened. You see, Ambassador Carter? These creatures of yours are not pets. They are biological weapons disguised as companions. Elias exhaled slowly. The council chambers were against him. He needed an angle, a way to turn this ridiculous hearing into something more than just a planetary-wide eviction notice for every dog, cat, and hamster in the galaxy. All right, he said finally. Let's assume, for a moment, that you're right. That our companion animals are too dangerous, too unpredictable. He turned, scanning the chamber. I have a counter-argument. The speaker curled his claws. Proceed. Elias tapped his hollow bracelet. A new image flickered to life. It wasn't a predator. It wasn't an apex hunter. It was a photograph of a blind woman being led by a Labrador retriever. The chamber hushed. Elias took a slow step forward. Dogs have walked beside us for tens of thousands of years. They guide the blind. They detect diseases. They pull humans from burning buildings. We owe our survival in part to their companionship. He swiped the image away, replacing it with another. A soldier on the battlefield, his face twisted in grief, clutching a dog in his arms. We don't just domesticate creatures. We bond with them. We elevate them. And in turn they give us their loyalty. Their love. Another tap. A different image. A cat curled up against a crying child. Our so-called apex predators provide comfort. They ease suffering. A final image. A video actually. It was grainy footage from an interstellar cargo freighter, the recording that had sparked the entire controversy. The moment that had triggered the council's panic. It showed an armed mercenary sneaking into a supply bay, his weapon raised. But before he could fire, before he could take a single step further, something small launched at him from the shadows. A blur of fur, claws, and sheer audacity. A cat. The little tabby had shredded the attacker's face before the ship's crew even knew what was happening. The mercenary had barely survived. And just like that, the galaxy had decided Earth's pets were too dangerous. Elias let the footage play out in silence, then turned back to the council. You see a monster. I see a friend protecting their home. The silence stretched. He could feel the room wavering. A crack in their certainty. Then the speaker's voice came deep and final. Your words are meaningless. The ban stands. Elias's stomach tightened. You don't understand. If you take them away. We do understand, the speaker cut in coldly. Which is why any humans who attempt to hide or relocate their pets after the ban will be prosecuted as criminals. Elias's blood ran cold. Because he knew humanity. And there wasn't a chance in hell they were going to give up their animals. The war hadn't started yet. But it would. Elias Carter barely heard the rest of the council's ruling. The words were a blur. He stood there, outwardly composed, while inside his mind was already working through the inevitable fallout. This isn't over. Not even close. The moment the speaker's gavel struck, solidifying the intergalactic ban on Earth's pets, Elias turned and walked out. Not fast. Not slow. Just steady. Controlled. The moment he stepped into the council's grand corridor, his communicator buzzed. A single word flashed across the screen. Move. Elias slipped into a quieter hallway, stepping into the shadows before answering. Go. A voice crackled through, a woman's tight with barely contained fury. Tell me that didn't just happen. Elias sighed. It happened. Silence. Then a low curse. They have no idea what they've just started. No, Elias agreed. They don't. The voice on the other end belonged to Captain Layla Voss, a former Terran Navy officer and current leader of an organization the Council didn't even know existed. The Interstellar Domestic Relocation Network, or as they called themselves, the Underground Pawprint. The moment the Council had started whispering about a pet ban, humanity had prepared. Smugglers, rogue scientists, even a handful of sympathetic alien allies. All of them had worked together to set up safe houses and transport routes across the stars. Because Earth wasn't going to just hand over its animals. Elias lowered his voice. How bad is it? Already happening, Layla said grimly. The Rithani just impounded an Earth transport vessel carrying service dogs. The animals were seized, shipped off-world. They're being placed in containment facilities. Non-sentient biohazards, they're calling them. Elias gritted his teeth. How many? Hundreds. And that's just what we know about. We have reports coming in from colonies all over, people trying to hide their pets. Some are getting caught. Others, she hesitated. Others aren't making it. Elias's stomach tightened. Casualties. Layla exhaled. There was an incident on Proxima 4. A family refused to give up their dog. Authorities moved in. Things got ugly. Elias closed his eyes for a brief second, rage curling in his gut. Send me the names. We won't let this go unanswered. You'd better hurry, Layla said. Because the Council just lit a fuse and humanity's about to explode. The resistance begins. On the outer rim of the Velsheri Nebula, a Terran freighter hovered in the void, running cold. No lights. No transmissions. Just a silent, invisible speck drifting in the darkness. Inside, the cargo hold was filled, not with supplies, not with contraband. With animals. Dogs. Cats. Birds. Ferrets. Even a few rabbits. They were carefully housed in containment units, their heart rates monitored, their temperatures regulated. A team of underground volunteers worked tirelessly, ensuring their safety. Near the loading ramp, a grizzled-looking pilot crouched beside a golden retriever, scratching behind its ears. We're getting you out of here, buddy, he murmured. You're gonna be safe. The ship's comm crackled. A voice cut through. Incoming patrol. T-2 minutes. The crew snapped into action. The animals were carefully secured in hidden compartments. Within seconds the cargo hold looked empty, just another standard freight hauler. Outside the patrol ship loomed closer. Inside the humans waited, hearts pounding. Then, a single bark. A hushed silence fell. The crew stared at each other in horror. Then, another bark. The golden retriever had wriggled free. Tail wagging. Happy. Excited. Oblivious. Outside the patrol ship scanned them. A delay. Pause. Elias Carter, watching from a hidden command center light years away, clenched his fists. Please don't hear it. Then, unidentified freighter, a cold alien voice crackled through the ship's comms. Prepare for inspection. The resistance had just been exposed. And now the war for Earth's pets had officially begun. The patrol ship loomed outside, its scanner sweeping over the freighter like a predator scenting prey. Inside the crew was frozen. Every breath felt like thunder. The golden retriever, bless his oblivious, happy heart, stood there tongue lolling ready for pets. Captain Rourke, the grizzled pilot, moved first. Fast. Silent. Precise. He scooped up the dog, cradling it tight, his calloused fingers pressing gently over its muzzle to keep it quiet. They heard. The whispered warning crackled over the comms from their external scanner technician. Elias Carter, still watching from the hidden command center light years away, clenched his jaw. This is bad. The patrol ship wasn't moving on. It was locking on. A full boarding. Rourke's voice came through the encrypted channel. Options. Layla Voss, stationed in a nearby relay ship, responded instantly. You're too close to slip into FTL without triggering their interdiction field. Running's out. Silence. Then Rourke muttered, "Guess we're talking then?" A new voice crackled through the ship's comms, cold, alien, and suspicious. Unidentified freighter, identify yourself and prepare for docking procedures. Any attempt to flee will be considered an act of defiance against galactic law. Rourke exhaled through his nose. Then, with a smoothness that came from years of barely legal smuggling, he toggled the comms and drawled, "Oh, you know how it is. Just a simple cargo run. Didn't know we had a VIP welcome party out here." Pause. The patrol ship's commander was weighing his words. Then, state your cargo. Rourke's mind spun. Livestock feed. A longer pause. Our scans detected an organic anomaly aboard your vessel. Rourke swore internally. That damned bark. Before he could answer, Layla's voice whispered through their encrypted comms. They're stalling. Probably pulling up human databases right now. Elias muttered from command, "You have 60 seconds before they know you're on the watch list." Rourke made a decision. He leaned forward and killed the external comms. Then he turned to his crew. "We're not getting out of this clean." His voice was calm, steady. "So, if they come aboard, we need to buy enough time for Plan B." One of the younger crew members swallowed. "What's Plan B?" Rourke sighed. "We get the animals off this ship." "How?" He pulled up a schematics map. A narrow vent system ran along the underside of the hull, leading to a small external service hatch. Barely big enough. We push them through here, load them onto drones, and launch them out before they find them. Layla's voice came back through their private comms. "That's insane." "Yeah," Rourke said. "But it's the only shot we've got." He turned to the crew. "Move." Time was up. The boarding. The docking clamps locked onto the freighter with a heavy thunk. Inside, the crew moved at breakneck speed. A wiry mechanic, Dren, unscrewed the vent panel. "This is gonna be tight." "We don't have a choice," Rourke gritted out. The first drone was prepped. Small. Silent. It opened like a capsule just large enough for a single animal. Rourke turned to the golden retriever, the one who had nearly doomed them. Now he would be the first to be saved. The dog whined softly as Rourke guided him inside, eyes trusting, tail still wagging. "See you soon, buddy," Rourke murmured. The drone sealed. A hiss of compressed air. Then launch. The drone shot out into the void, masked by the freighter's magnetic field. It vanished from sight. One down. Dozens to go. The airlock hissed open. 2 galactic patrol officers stepped inside. Their armor gleamed, weapons holstered but ready. The lead officer, a feline like SH Ravathi, narrowed his eyes at Rourke. "Cargo inspection." Rourke forced a grin. "Welcome aboard." The officers stepped forward. Behind them, more patrol guards loomed just outside the airlock. Watching. Waiting. The crew kept their faces neutral, their movements casual. Stall. By time. The SH Ravathi officer's eyes flicked to a crate. He pulled out a scanner. Rourke's pulse thudded. If that scanner picked up anything, then. A loud clang echoed from the back of the ship. The officer's head snapped up. Rourke barely stopped himself from swearing. The vent panel. "Stay here," the officer ordered, signaling his partner to follow as he stalked toward the noise. Rourke exchanged a glance with his crew. This was spiraling. Fast. The sacrifice. Deep in the vents, Dren was working frantically. The drones were launching fast but not fast enough. Then disaster. The last vent section was jammed. Behind him, a carrier crate held 3 more animals. A husky, a Bengal cat, and a small, trembling rabbit. And the patrol officers were closing in. Dren took one look at the crate. Then at the vent. He knew what he had to do. He grabbed a wrench, slammed it into the vent, forcing it open just enough. The husky bolted through. The cat followed. The rabbit hesitated. Footsteps. Close. Dren reached out. "Come on, little guy." The rabbit twitched its nose, then hopped forward. The drone sealed. A final hiss. Gone. Dren sagged against the wall, exhaling hard. They were safe. But he wasn't. A shadow loomed over him. The patrol officer stared down, weapon raised. Explain. Now. Dren smirked. Just making sure my cargo gets where it's going. Then he lifted his hands in surrender. The consequences. Elias Carter's hands tightened into fists as the grainy security feed showed Dren being shoved to his knees, restraints slapped onto his wrists. Damn it, Layla muttered. We lost him. Rourke's voice came over the encrypted comms, rough with guilt. He knew the risks. Elias closed his eyes briefly. The drones had made it. The animals were safe. But now the council had their first human prisoner. The war had just escalated. And humanity? Humanity was about to push back. Dren knelt on the cold, metallic floor of the Galactic Council's high-security brig. His wrists ached from the restraints, and the SH Ravathi officer loomed over him, tail flicking in satisfaction. You smuggled dangerous creatures past a lawful blockade, the officer hissed. You do understand what that means, yes? Dren gave him a lopsided grin. That I'm a damn good smuggler? The officer's slitted eyes narrowed. He turned away, activating a holographic terminal. You'll be transported to the Central Tribunal. Expect a public trial. Dren's stomach tightened. He knew what that meant. A trial was just a formality. The council didn't care about legalities, it cared about control. They'd make an example out of him. He leaned back against the cell wall, forcing himself to breathe. The mission was what mattered. The animals were safe. The cause was still alive. Somewhere out in the void, Rourke and Layla were already planning the next move. They wouldn't leave him behind. Would they? Humanity pushes back. The trial was set within 3 days. 3 days to parade him before the Galactic Council. 3 days to use his capture as propaganda, proof that humans were lawless, reckless, unfit for galactic civilization. What the Council didn't realize. Humans don't abandon their own. On the 3rd day, as Dren was shackled and marched into the Grand Tribunal chamber, the attack began. Not from Rourke. Not from Layla. Not from the smugglers. From Earth. The Galactic Council had assumed this was a fringe movement. That only a few rogue elements cared about humanity's so-called dangerous creatures. They were wrong. They had underestimated the entire human race. The live feed of Dren's trial was meant to be a warning. Instead, it became a rallying cry. 1 billion humans watched. And then the sabotage began. Council transport routes were blocked by thousands of independent human pilots. Hyperlane gates jammed with unexpected maintenance malfunctions. Communications relays were flooded with hacked signals, broadcasting the faces of every pet humanity had ever loved. Across 100 worlds, humans stopped cooperating. Dockworkers in alien ports walked off the job. Human engineers refused to repair council tech. Entire colonies held protests. The message was simple. Release Dren. Reverse the ban. Or the whole galaxy learns what a real problem looks like. The animals that changed everything. In the chaos, no one noticed the drones. The ones carrying the smuggled animals? They had reached their destinations. Some landed in human territories where they were safe. But others? They landed on alien worlds. And something incredible happened. A Ivran hatchling, a species known for being neurotically anxious, was filmed sleeping peacefully curled up against a golden retriever. A war-scarred Vergathi veteran, whose people had no concept of emotional support, was found weeping into the fur of a purring rescue cat. A skeptical Zelvani noble, part of the very council that had voted for the ban, recorded a video in shock as a husky brought her sick child a toy, sensing distress. The footage spread like wildfire. The galaxy saw the truth. Earth's creatures weren't a menace. They weren't weapons. They were family. They were healers. They were exactly what the cold, war-ravaged galaxy had been missing. And the ban? The ban fell overnight. The grand reversal. Dren was dragged before the council once more. Only this time the chamber was different. No threats. No accusations. Just the highest-ranking officials of the galaxy, staring at him with unreadable expressions. Then the Speaker of the Council sighed and muttered, "We made a mistake." Dren blinked. What? The SH Ravathi officer from before scowled but handed him a data pad. Galactic Council resolution. Pet prohibition revoked. Human detainee to be released immediately. Dren let out a breathless laugh. They won. The last bark. Dren stepped off the shuttle into human space, heart pounding. The moment he set foot on solid ground, something heavy slammed into his chest. A warm tongue licked his face, tail wagging furiously. The golden retriever, his golden retriever, was there whole and safe. Rourke and Layla stood nearby, grinning. "Took you long enough," Rourke said. Dren buried his face in the dog's fur, voice thick. Yeah, I guess it did. In the end, it wasn't war that changed the galaxy. It wasn't rebellion. It wasn't violence. It was a bark. And the love of a species that refused to be tamed.